Today we will be covering the production, inspection and history of this iconic automotive company established in 1948. I'm currently sitting in the new Customer Experience Centre with four special guests. Firstly, Adam Billings. Welcome to the MTD podcast.
Hi Gio, nice to meet you.
Adam, you are head of new model quality and metrology operations, and I'm looking forward to learn a little bit more about your background.
Yeah, sure. So I've been in the automotive industry for nearly 28 years now. I started off as an apprentice with MG Rover Group, and then I was there till about 2005 when I moved across to Aston Martin. And then 2011, I came over to join Lotus. So I've always been within the automotive industry and with three iconic British brands.
Excellent. And really looking forward to learning a lot more about Lotus during this podcast. Tom, it was a pleasure to go out with you last night. Our second guest, Tom Mackrell. If I've pronounced that correctly?
You have, yeah. Tom
Perfect. Mackrell. Perfect. Thank you, Tom. Now, Tom, Dimensional Quality Manager at Lotus. Can you firstly tell our listeners a little bit about you and how you got into engineering and about your background, please?
Yeah, sure. So I joined Lotus in 2019. So Lotus is my second stint in the automotive industry. I started at Jaguar Land Rover in 2013 as a graduate. And I've spent most of my time in advanced manufacturing, launching vehicles and looking at dimensional quality as a way to drive both process and product improvements.
Well, I've learnt so much from you today, and I've learnt so much from this visit that we're looking forward to share with our listeners. And today, MTD have been invited here by our client, Alkay Metrology, and we're also joined by Steve Schickel and Dave Robinson from Alkay Metrology. Welcome to the MTD podcast. I reckon that this is your second one, Steve?
Yes, it certainly is, Gio. We did one during the COVID lockdown, so that was a slightly different scenario.
Now, Steve, you know, for our listeners that didn't listen to that podcast, you can still listen to it, by the way, but can you tell our listeners a little bit about you, please?
Yeah, sure, Gio. So I've been basically supplying metrology solutions for probably the last 35 years, from aerospace, automotive, military, nuclear, you name it. I've been there, I've done it, and I think F1 as well. So this is quite fitting, really, going to a highly prestigious Lotus company with their new vehicle. So it's brilliant.
It's been a fantastic day, hasn't it?
It certainly has. It's been brilliant.
And it was a brilliant night last night. We had a few beers and a bite to eat, and we got to learn a lot before we even arrived at this fantastic facility. Dave got to chat to you a lot last night about your background, and it was really interesting. Can you tell our listeners about your experience in the industry, please?
Hello, Gio. Yes, I started as a engineer and apprentice, and then I moved on to quality engineering, and that's led me into the CMM industry. I've been in the industry 35 years. Started as a technical specialist on exports, sales and support, and then moved through product management and now into marketing.
Now, the purpose of this visit really today was to look at the new Emira, which is an absolutely unbelievable car that recently got launched, I believe, end of last year, Adam?
Yeah, middle of 2021. Yes.
Fantastic car. So if our listeners have not seen it, get onto the Lotus website and check it out. But secondly, to look at the new manufacturing facility and the way in which this car is being manufactured autonomously, but also how it's being inspected with the Alkay metrology solutions that they are offering. Adam, can I start with you, please? Can you set the scene and can you tell our audience, firstly, a little bit about Lotus, how it was established, why it was established, and how it's evolved into this, what's going to be a very large manufacturing outfit?
Yeah, sure. Lotus was founded in 1948 by Colin Chapman. Originally, he was based in Hornsey, a small factory in Hornsey. I think they then moved to a purpose-built factory in Cheshire in about 1954-ish, early 1954s. And that's when Colin was really starting to make the iconic racing Lotuses that we all know and love. We moved here to Hethel, and our home of Lotus, in about 1966. Hethel's a former airbase, World War II airbase. So we have the advantage of the test track that you've seen here today, 2.2 mile test track that was formerly part of the runway network. And since then, we've predominantly sort of transitioned from the classic Lotus race cars into also producing vehicles for the road as well. that racing heritage is still very much an important part of the brand, and I think that's always been demonstrated in the sort of dynamic ability of our products ever since.
How important is the racetrack to this facility, and is it open to the public?
It's a fantastic thing to have. I mean, it's a benefit that many OEMs don't have, and I'm sure would love. So being able to take production cars, development cars out on that track, and like you say, we also can use that at weekends for our Lotus Driving Academy, where people can come and they can do their Lotus licenses as sort of these track day experiences. So yeah, people, general members of the public can come and enjoy that as well, and be able to drive a car around the famous Hethel test track is something that a lot of people really want to do.
That's brilliant. Now, Tom, I've spent the whole day with you looking at the manufacturing facility, but also on how the cars are being inspected. You're kind of heading that up. You've shown me so many different things. Something that really impressed me was the AGVs, fully automated, but the LK metrology system. I've seen it on TV where cars are being inspected autonomously, but I've never seen it firsthand. Can you tell our listeners how the cars were inspected before, how the cars are inspected now, and what difference that has made to your production, and how it's improved manufacturing?
Sure, yeah. So traditionally at Lotus, we've inspected our cars offline. As volumes were lower, we were more capable of taking cars out of the process. We'd take them to a metrology area and manually measure those cars using a variety of equipment, but more recently using mobile measurement arms. And that's a really great way to measure a car. You can get good access. We can measure lots of different features and make sure we're developing and maintaining a good product. But the disadvantage is you've had to take a car out of production. It's now out of sequence. You've got challenges in terms of returning that to your process and keeping everything running. It's also slow. It takes a long time. Those operations, we could be talking upwards of 4 hours to inspect a car thoroughly and then get it back into the process.
Would look at inspection and metrology as a cost. They look at the machine tools as the machines that are making them money, and potentially the metrology is costing them money. But this has really identified the fact that actually this metrology solution is actually improving your manufacturing facility, hence making you more productive. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, absolutely. So we use that data from every car to drive not only decision making about good and bad, but how to improve processes. We understand when processes are changing direction or parts are changing in their behavior or in their shape, and it allows us to be really responsive. Not like when you're sampling production where you'll find a change and then you need to respond to it and work out how much product is in the new condition.
I think historically Lotus has always been hand built. Even the sort of the creating of the chassis and the structure has been done by hand. So in order to get the quality that we needed, we've invested in technology in the right areas. So we've just gone and spent at 2.2 million on a brand new framing line. So not having the ability to measure the output of that process would be criminal. So that's exactly what Tom's saying. We've got that instant feedback from that new framing line.
That's massive. Now we're going to go and discuss the new car shortly, but before we do, let's find out about the technology that is helping the manufacturing of this new car supplied from LK Metrology. Steve, can you firstly just tell us about the relationship and about how this started?
Yeah, sure. So I think basically we got an inquiry from a trade show. Actually, I think Tom came to see us at one of our stands.
Yeah.
And obviously we followed that up to obviously look at the facility and see what the demands are and ultimately understand what the needs were really. So slightly different to what we traditionally do, because typically you see CMMs at the end of the production process. But basically what we wanted to do here was use that technology and put it in the process, but also automate it too, so that we can handshake and talk to the AGVs as they're coming and going. So obviously the good thing about LK being a UK-based company, our engineering is local, so we were able to do all the full turnkey package based out of our Castle Donington factory. So yeah, it's been good.
Now, Dave, tell us about the actual solution that's on site, and before you do, tell us about the experience that LK Metrology have got. You deal with a lot of large OEM companies in the UK and around the world. So you've got vast experience in this kind of solution.
Yes, key customers for Alkay are in the aerospace industry and the automotive industry, both at the OEM level and the tier level. So whether it's building the vehicles or inspecting the vehicles rather, or inspecting the components that go on those vehicles, we have a great deal of experience. This particular machine here, the requirement was around accuracy, flexibility and cycle time. So we've put together a machine configuration that can satisfy all three of those requirements within what Lotus need.
Can you say them 3 points again?
Accuracy, flexibility and productivity.
And Adam, are you achieving all three of them through this solution?
Initial signs are yes. We obviously haven't ramped up to full production yet, but we are seeing that. The accuracy goes without saying, and as we're targeting a 17-minute cycle time, so the trial build phases that we're going through now, we're achieving that. So.
Now there are many metrology solutions on the market. You know, why did you choose Alkay Metrology, Tom?
So we looked at a number of factors as part of our due diligence, and some of the key elements for us around Lotus is first and foremost, it's a British brand, and so is Alkay. So there's a nice symmetry in there. But fundamentally, we've through the process of selecting a vendor, we found that Alkay had the right solution in terms of the technology that was available. Certainly working with ceramic for the columns, it gives us the level of accuracy we're looking for. But second of all, there was a level of comfort from Alkay to provide a turnkey solution with a level of automation, and that's what we were really looking for.
So explain the turnkey solution. What does this entail? What were your demands, or what was your criteria when you went to Alkay?
So I think we had a conversation that went very much along the lines of, right, gents, we're looking for a system here that can measure X number of measurement points. I think it was circa 300 was the specification. We need it to be within a cycle time of 20 minutes, and we need it to be a two-stage measurement. Oh, and by the way, it needs to be a turnkey system, because we haven't got the capacity internally at the moment to manage and develop that. So we want something that we can come to you, we can agree a system, and know that on the day of the races you're going to turn up and we'll have a system that's ready to go.
So that's where the flexibility comes in.
And that's where the flexibility
Now, I absolutely loved, my background is work holding, and I absolutely loved the kind of fixturing that you've got on the bed. Basically, it's like what I would refer to as a 0 point system. So it's literally the AGVs are coming in, and if you can visualise, the listeners at home, if you can visualise this, there are videos coming soon on the MTD CNC platform. If the AGVs are coming in, they're plonking the car onto the 0 point system, and then literally there's a barcode on the bottom of the car which is being picked up dependent if it's stage 1, stage 2, it calls the right program. It's absolutely brilliant. Then if there's a different variation, then the 0 point pockets I would refer to at the bottom of the car would remain the same. So it gives you flexibility in the future. You're kind of future-proofing that system to put even more cars through it in the future potentially. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, go on.
No, as you say, you also touch on the stage 1 and stage 2 measurements. So we've spoken already about measuring the vehicles as they come off the end of our new framing line, and that's the real key important bit, because we've got to get the core structure of the car right, and it's got to be accurate. But one of the things we also wanted to do was to take advantage of the flexibility of the AGVs, and actually we now use the same CMM to measure the car at a second stage of the process once it's got the front and the rear modules and a lot of the bracketry that supports the exterior body panels. We put the vehicle back into the same CMM and measured at its stage 2 program, again giving us that stable process so that we can make sure we can achieve the fit and the finish of the exterior panels as well. And again, that's the flexibility that we've got within the process of the AGVs being able to divert it, but also from the CMM equipment being able to take and perform 2 different measurement programs.
It's a smart factory, and the stable process is key.
Yes, absolutely.
So we've alluded to that this is the most accurate Lotus ever made, but now tell our listeners why it's the best Lotus ever made. And tell us about the car.
So the Mira, the goal with the Mira right from the outset was a step up in quality. I think everybody recognises Lotus as producing dynamically excellent vehicles. And I think if we're blatantly honest, quality, perhaps certainly a fit and finish quality, always took a bit of a back step. Since Geely came in 2017, their ambitions, their aspirations for the brand were really clear. And to move into the premium market where we need to be, we have to make, or had to make, a significant step up in build quality, and that was clear. And with that ambition from our shareholders, obviously came the financial backing that Lotus has craved for so long, and has actually enabled us to make the changes we have. So we've invested not just in the design and engineering and manufacture of the components, but also, as we're talking now, about the manufacturing facility itself as well.
Well, again, please, I can't recommend enough to get onto the Lotus website and check out the videos coming soon on the MTD platform to check out this new Emira, the latest Lotus, which is absolutely fabulous. Steve, let's go back to the metrology solution. You know, it's all good and well you saying, yeah, this can do the job, but how does it do the job? And it's a little bit different. You know, people look at or think of a CMM as a bridge type construction with probes, but this is actually scanning the part, and it's actually two horizontal, is it beams or cross rails?
Yeah,
what
we
would
say
you?
horizontal arms. Yeah, so we say horizontal arms, yeah. And so basically it's actually two machines that are joined together. So effectively we've got obviously a very accurate table that the fixture's mounted to. So with the two arms being aligned to each other, we're then able to create one machine that is able to give access all the way around the vehicle. So effectively we've got two arms. The machine measures a volume of up to 6 meters long, 2.5 meters tall and 3 meters wide. And the arms obviously cross over to each other to get inside the vehicle. And we've got these laser scanners, which effectively have got 3 laser stripes on there, so we can go over a feature and capture it in one pass. And obviously with the heads on the arms, we're able to get flexibility, so we've got the dynamics to move and measure back on yourself as well. So we can basically get into all the nooks and crannies of the car, but also we can probe as well. So we can use probing with long extensions to get into those hard to reach places, but typically for the measurements that we're doing in process, it's all done with the laser scanning.
So how did this application start? Talk us through the process from the beginning, from when you received this inquiry from Lotus. How did you know that this was your bag and it was perfect for your products?
Yeah, so I think, as I said perhaps before, the horizontal arm CMMs have always been seen at the end of the production process. They've always been a very capable system. They're always perhaps seen as being a little bit slow. So if you're probing features, it does take a little bit longer. But the moment you put laser scanners to it, you then get the speed. So effectively, you've got the accuracy, the reliability, because we're using ceramic technology, so we've got very durable hardware and machines. With the laser scanning, effectively, you've got the speed. So you've got the best of all worlds, really.
And Dave, you were talking me through some of the technology and explaining how the ceramics, because you can't actually physically see the ceramics, they're under the ground, effectively. And can you explain the build of this machine and how how the two different kind of machines effectively work simultaneously or can work independently, be dependent if it's a right-handed car, a left-handed car, so on and so forth?
Okay. So the most CMMs are built on a foundation of granite. That gives great stability. And these machines are also built on a foundation of granite. Rather than a granite table with the workpiece sitting on it, we've got a granite rail. And to allow the AGV to come in, we actually recess that rail into the ground with a special foundation so that the measuring volume of the machine is at floor level. So that's the first something different about this style of machine to a bridge machine, if you like. So we put 2 of those rails in, 2 of those horizontal columns in, and these machines are effectively 2 separate CMMs, so they could work independently, measuring a small component that didn't take up the whole volume, or they can work as unison as one CMM. And when they're working together, they actually share data, so that the user gets one inspection report with some of the features measured maybe with the left arm and some measured with the right, but it all gets combined into one single report.
So, Dave, you made a statement whilst we were on the shop floor that it's the most accurate horizontal arm in the world.
That's true. Yes.
And tell me more about that.
Okay, so the HC90 specification is 14 microns plus L over 200. Now, there are many other horizontal arms on the market, but they don't meet that specification. So by far, it's the most accurate horizontal arm machine on the market. That's down to the design of the machine. This machine is full air bearings. Many of this style of machine that you'll see on the market are a mixture of mechanical and air bearings, or they're all mechanical bearings. This is a full air bearing machine, and then the moving structure is ceramic, which, as we know, is a very stable material.
So some great statements, Dave. Most accurate horizontal arm in the world, the most accurate Lotus ever built. It's a great story. Now, Adam, when you kind of looked for a solution, what were you looking for? Traditionally, you look at probing, and there's a lot of scanning going on. So tell our listeners a little bit why you kind of went for a bit of a hybrid.
Absolutely. So initially, the want was very much to have a non-contact solution. So we don't do things normally here at Lotus. The way we build our vehicles, construct our vehicles, rather than construct a body shell and then paint it, as is the traditional way, we actually bond painted panels to our chassis. So we're measuring a painted surface. Also, as I've said, we'll measure it at a second stage during the process when it's a part-built car. So there'll be harnesses, there'll be pipes, there'll be other components fitted. So the advantage a laser gives us is we have that standoff distance so that we're not contacting the panels, and we've also got a bit of clearance to any components that are around us as well during that build phase. The advantage we do have is that we can easily switch to a probe if we need to get a little bit more accuracy in certain areas, or to access areas maybe the scan head can't reach. We can automatically switch to a probing device as well.
That's another element of the flexibility we're looking for, to be able to contact and non-contact measure when we need to and when it's appropriate is a really powerful tool to have. Having that standoff, as Adam says, it's a non-traditional build structure with harnesses and cable work in there. So having the confidence that we're not going to encroach on that space, and they are flexible items. They can move in transit. They can be moved between operations. That there's no risk that we're going to snag those, as there might be with a contact probe.
So we see many customers that want this multi-sensor technology on their metrology systems. It brings the benefits in different ways. So the touch probe, as Adam was saying, it allows us to measure internally. An optical system tends not to be able to get inside something. So the touch probe gives us internal metrology, it gives us high precision, gives us great reach, whereas the optical side gives us speed. And everybody's after a faster production process nowadays, so we incorporate that for a lot of the high-speed measurement, more complicated features that would take a lot of time with a touch probe. But many listeners of this broadcast may have experienced optical devices and noticed that they're less consistent across different reflective materials. So within the laser scanner setting here, the barcode gives information to the laser scanner about the surface finish that it's going to measure in terms of the colour.
Wow.
So the settings of the laser adapt to accommodate that, because different colours are different reflectiveness.
I mean, that's fascinating. It really is. It really is fascinating.
Yeah, one of the things I was going to talk about also is the sub-assemblies that are going to the framing line. They've also been inspected by metrology as well. So, Tom, I don't know whether it's worth talking about the other facility that you have as well.
Yeah, so we have another site in Norwich, LAS, Lotus Advanced Structures. And at Lotus Advanced Structures, we've got another series of LK products in there. We have a fleet of bridge machines which measure our front and rear modules and our chassis. And we are touch probing there. We have scanning capability, but generally we found we've got a much better access and a little bit more cycle time. We touch probe those components, and it's very handy to be able to have that compatibility both in the software and the knowledge, the learning that we've had over the last 18 months, that we can share between both sites and utilise that to give us not only a level of internal flexibility at Lotus, but a really robust level of understanding and ability to apply those skills and those technologies.
I want to come on to the understanding and the knowledge that you've shared between both companies shortly, and I want to end the podcast with that. But before I do, these cars are being 100% checked. Explain to our listeners what this means, because not every car in the market is 100% checked.
Yeah, that's right. We inspect 100% of our front structures, our rear structures, our chassis. We measure 100% of what we're calling a stage one, so our framed product, and that gives us a level of understanding and control which is, I wouldn't say unique, but is unusual. that gives us two things. The first is it gives us the ability to make running change and have a very controlled production run and know where our product is. And two, it guarantees us a level of understanding about what leaves the factory. So we can have peace of mind that everything we've built conforms to our standards and expectations, and that anything we supply to a customer is exactly the way we intend it to be.
So let's move on to education and evolution. Now, you mentioned that you've both been learning from each other. You've been learning about the application, Steve and Dave, and you've been learning about the LK technology. Tell us about the partnership, the collaboration, and why this is just absolutely essential. Steve, could you?
Yeah, sure. I think at the beginning of the process, it'd be fair to say that nothing was set in concrete. There was still a lot of design changes. There was a lot of flexibility in the approach to the measurement side of things. So I think from that perspective, that kind of gave me more confidence to offer a flexible solution. And therefore, it was imperative that we work together on this project, because typically we find with lots of situations you get a contract which is contractually bound and you deliver what exactly is in the contract, and then design changes can cause frustrations and things like that. So I think for me it was right that we took the approach where we wanted to partner with Lotus to offer the right solution, because we knew there was going to be challenges and changes along the way, and I think so far it's worked really well.
Adam or Tom, what have you learned about metrology and inspection and the importance of it that you didn't know before?
So I think we've learnt a number of things. It's more not necessarily the technical elements, although there's been some interesting developments there, particularly with the laser scanners, but it's been more around how to work as a team with a supplier. It's not a supplier-customer contractual mechanical relationship where we hand you a spec, you hand us a product, we hand you some cash. It's been much more fluid than that, and there's been a number of visits both to LK's facilities to look at solutions and discuss how we're going to adapt to the changes in the product that have come from our needs as a company, as a manufacturer, and learning the other way. As we've developed this really automated and integrated system that now works in tandem with some AGVs. It works in tandem with the automation and a safe, secure area with light guards and other inline technologies or next to the line technologies. So there's been some technical challenges in learning there, I think, for Steve and the team at LK, and we've overcome those together, and it's been a fairly transparent and mutual understanding that, look, we need to deliver this. This needs to work for Lotus. This is really important for delivering Emira. And it's been a partnership.
I've seen the synergy firsthand today, and it's working fantastically. Now, Adam, any last thoughts on this, or anything that you want to say before we wrap up this podcast? I could talk all day about this solution, and maybe we need to do round two at some point in the future. It's been a brilliant visit, so thank you very much. But are there any last thoughts and anything that you'd like to tell our listeners?
I don't think so. I certainly second what Tom said, and the partnership with LK it's worked really well. As I say, Lotus aren't conventional, never have been, we never intend to be. So working with us, as I'm sure Steve will tell you, is not necessarily the easiest thing to do. But as we develop the right solution, that transparency, that flexibility on both sides has really come to a fantastic result for both parties, I believe, this time. So hopefully, as you'll start to see now the Emira roll out the doors, you'll see how big a step up in quality we've made, and how that vehicle is now really is a everyday usable sports car that's still just as capable on a track, but you can go and drive back to Derby in it quite easily. So if you haven't already, get your deposit down. There's a bit of a waiting list, but we'll soon make you some more.
Could I borrow one day? But no, I mean, what I absolutely love is it's two British companies, using state-of-the-art technology. In the past, I think one of us alluded to earlier that you go into some workshops, I think it was you, Dave, and they're still using 1960 technology, but trying to be competitive and still trying to achieve the same quality. And it's just so refreshing to see a British company using state-of-the-art technology, and it's just been a fabulous visit. And seeing all the automation in real life, it's been phenomenal. Guys, any last thoughts?
I think just from my side, I think obviously there's been a lot of learning on both sides, but there's been a common goal, and I would say it's been an absolute privilege to work with an iconic brand, but also to work with a team that's been certainly challenged over the COVID crisis that we've had as well. So we've delivered to what we said we would during all the crisis and all the challenges, and I think it's great. The end result's there, and we're really proud of what we've both achieved.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. We haven't even mentioned the fact that we've had a global pandemic in between, but I think that just reflects how well the partnerships work, that it hasn't really impacted what we've been trying to do.
Absolutely. It's been a really challenging 18 months, like you say, with COVID and the launch and the uniqueness of the way Lotus builds its cars, and that is a strength and a challenge from a manufacturing point of view. But it's been a really cohesive team effort, and I can stand here and be really proud of what we've delivered on behalf of Lotus.
So LK, we have a standard product range which we offer to all customers, but we like to take on variations to that, such as this kind of solution where we're taking our technology, integrating it fully into a production environment, or customizing the machine in some other configuration, as a minimum more fixing holes in the table, but right up to full automation. And we cover everything in between: enclosures, rotary tables, specialist programs, fixturing, whatever the customer wants. We've got a projects team that will take that on and deliver it to the customer's requirement.
Guys, thank you so much for today. Thank you so much for a fantastic visit. It's been brilliant, and please watch the videos that will be coming soon, and check out the new Emira, the most accurate Lotus ever made, with some fabulous features made, or inspected, shall I say, on the world's most accurate horizontal arm from LK Metrology. I hope you've enjoyed this podcast. Until next week, the MTD podcast.
Thanks for listening to the MTD podcast. If you found value in this episode, please subscribe and leave a rating and review. Find more episodes on mtdcnc.com.